Hello, this is OverLordBou, and we're back with another video with SAT score. And today, we're going to talk about the new ranked meta for 10.4. So our ideas for the new ranked 10.4 meta that'll be coming out in the middle of May. So it should be around next week. Let's go off the news real quick and just look at a few details about the ranked. So bronze is going to be 6 to 7, while silver is going to be 8 to 9, and then gold is going to be 10. So the format is going to be 7v7. So the maps are going to be for Ring, Strait, New Dawn, and Trident Fault for 6 and 7. Tears of the Desert, Warriors Pass, Sea of Fortune, Island of Ice, Loop is going to be for 8 through 9. Haven, Shards, Trap, Northern Lights, and Repulse is going to be for the gold. So how it always works is there's a certain, like, for each tier, there's different awards you get, etc. And this season is going to start from May 19th through August 3rd for the CIS. NA is May 19th through August 4th. So for the awards, bronze is 3 to 6 wins is 200 steel. 9 is the 200 steel, and the 5 bronzes. 12 wins, etc. You see they get better over time, right? A pattern that you can see is that you get more steel, or you get the same amount of steel in bronze as you do in silver. So if you're trying to get just steel, it could be easier for you just to stay in bronze. But if you want the more rewards, silver is also a little sweet spot where a lot of the higher level players stay, because you get a few doubloons, you get a nice little few camos here, and then you get this camo if you qualify for this, of course. And the silver container also gives you 20k, 12 random of a rare, 7,500 coal, and 56,000 commander experience. So it gives you pretty much a lot for that. So, since silver is 8 through 9, me personally, I'll be staying in this one, silver. I've had a really rough time dealing with gold. Like, if you look at gold's, like, wins here, there is a lot of steel you can get in gold, correct? So, like, it's 3, 6,
Yes.
9, 12, 15. You get a lot of steel, but the thing is that gold is by far the most... You think that you've seen unbalanced or very unbalanced teams, but for some strange reason, bronze and silver are fun, but then you go into gold and it's nothing but you see the worst players there. And it's just to save you from insanity, I would suggest to stay in bronze and silver if you want the rewards and not to pull your hair out and kill everyone. As someone that used to play ranked a lot and I took a break due to it, do not go into gold. Let's talk about the meta. So what would the meta, do you think, as a toy score would be for bronze, in your opinion?
Bronze is pretty much the Wild West. Anything goes. A lot of people will take tier and 7 ships, will be inexperienced, don't know what they're doing, maybe grinding, but the good players will rank out fairly quickly, whereas the worser players well, they'll still rank out fairly quickly. Bronze is like the old rank 22 to 15.
Yep.
You're kind of pushed along, so it's more just if you put your games in, you'll rank out. For me, personally, I'll probably use it to grind certain ships, or even just have fun with older premiums that I've forgotten about.
Yep. I feel like the Atlanta, Hyuga, Hyeta, Sinop, I think the Nelson could also be a good choice too for ranked, for the bronze. Muchin, which is pretty much a many mains, would also be pretty strong for bronze as well. It's a great kiting ship, good range. Would you have any other suggestions for people that like have like a tech tree line ship maybe that they're on that they could bring into the bronze?
For tech tree ships, there's a lot of favor towards tier 7 tech tree ships. Since you're probably going to see a couple tier 6s, you can dominate them with your tier 7s.
Yep.
But on the other hand, the a lot of the meta tier 7 ships we saw in previous ranked seasons were premiums.
Yep.
Like Belfast
Yep.
dominated, Haida but dominated. So I'd expect to see those ships. But since it's, as I said, since it's bronze, the player quality isn't expected to be very high. So you can really take any ship and spam your games and to rank out.
Yep. I think the King George would be a strong tech tree line ship along with the Sinop. The Carcion, maybe. I don't really consider that as super strong in tier 7 BB. Another good tech tree line ship.
Vauquelin would be the tier 7 French destroyer. She would be pretty solid. In fact, she can actually, with her speed boost, she can actually run into other destroyers, main battery reload boost them to death, and run away.
Oh, yeah. That's an incredibly strong tier 7. Yes, definitely. But yeah, that's it for bronze. Now, what about for silver? That would be the tier 8 and 9. I would highly suggest only bringing in tier 9s, but there are carriers allowed in this rank, which means that if you're playing in bronze and silver, you'll have to experience with the lower tier CV. So in bronze, you have to deal with the tier 6 CV, and in the silver, you have to deal with the tier 8 CV. So you're going to see a lot of enterprises, Kaga Bs, probably Parsifals. Parsifals are the tier 8, correct? For the German, I forgot.
That is correct.
Okay, so the Parsifal, they would also bring in, what is the Japanese? Shokaku. Shokaku would also be brought in as well. You're going to see a lot of CVs, but the main ones you're going to deal with is probably the Kaga B and the Enterprise. Those are by far, along with the Shokaku, are like the favorites of CV players to bring in to ranked.
The reason for that is that Enterprise is a very strong carrier, and especially preys on destroyers. Most tier 9, even the tier 9 destroyers generally struggle to shoot down planes, so Enterprise will be very good. Kaga is the other favorite because her torpedo bombers scale pretty well. She has huge reserves and can hit tier 8, tier 9 ships no issue.
Yep. So I think that if there's going to be C's involved, we should probably bring up a few anti-air ships or ones that have decent anti-air. So I think the Baltimore, what's the tier 9s again? I know the Seattle's pretty good for tier 9. What's the tier 9 for the Des Moines? I forgot. It's not the Seattle. It's what's it called?
The Buffalo.
The Buffalo. The Buffalo would be pretty strong. It has good anti-air. It also has very good guns, so the Buffalo would be a good choice for it as well. The John Bart would also be a strong battleship if you still have the John Bart. It's a pretty strong battleship to bring in, has good anti-air. The Lepanto, the new BB for tier 9, is very strong. I would definitely bring this in if you want to do a BB, because since it's 7B7, spotting is going to be a little bit tough for it being 7B7, right? So if you're able to use that to your advantage, you can really do some insane damage numbers with some of these ships that are able to stealth up. Marso as well. Marso Polio is also a very strong ship to bring in as well. Also, tech tree line ship. The Izumo would be a good choice. It's very accurate, very tanky. Anti-air is weak on it though, so it's gonna get preyed upon by CVs.
Sort of. The tier 9s on average have a bit more AA, and for AP bombs, she resists all of the tier 8 CVs.
Oh, you're right, my
she'll
bad.
be okay.
You're right, I did forget about that. I apologize, but yes, you were correct on that one. The Iowa would also be a good choice. Let's see, the Lion. The Lion would also be a good choice right before the Conqueror. The Neshashami would be a good DD to bring in. The new ZF-6, I would highly recommend this DD to bring in. It's its ability to just delete DDs with its AP and its reload booster. And it also has DFA as well. And the smoke and the torps. I feel like the ZF-6 would be a good D to bring in to be like a cap pusher. And try to hold the caps. It also has a nice consumption of 5.8. So I think it would be a nice cap pushing DD as well. What do you think of any other DDs that'd be nice for that role?
Destroyers tend to favor more tier 9s. So you can have the more combat oriented destroyers like the Mogador. Like
Tashkent.
Mogador, I would favor Udaloy because she carries both smoke and heal. The reason why Mogador can be very strong is that she can speed to the off cap very quickly,
Oh yeah.
and she bullies pretty much any destroyer that she runs across.
Yep.
On the other hand of the spectrum, you can see the spotting destroyers being able to push them out. Say like the Lightning, Cossack, the even a Jutland that has its main guns nerfed 7 million times will still be good.
I think the ZF-6, if it had all of its AP guns aimed at the Mogador at the same time as the Mogador was aiming at it, I think the ZF-6 would put the Mogador on its money. Because if the Mogador doesn't turn quick enough, it can easily do 3 or 4k salvos with its AP to the Mogador. So
On the other hand, Mogador still has access to reload booster, and in a straight up fight, Mogador will win no problem.
Yep, it's
due to saturation.
Yep, the French saturation, that saving grace of the French. Now, the DD that I'm going to bring in, because I love it and because it's only a tier 7, since it's 7v7, is the Paulo Emilio. And you're like, now, how can this be useful in this? Well, if you consider the fact that there's only 7 opponents, the fact that you're able, more likely than not, to rush a whole flank in this thing, push them super quickly, and then torp them out, is very likely. And it's super memey on being able to do that, which is hilarious, and it's so much fun to do. You just have to play it very carefully on that, because if you don't, you're just gonna die, and then your team is gonna lose. So it's like a risk and reward where it's very risky, but if you pay it off, it's super fun to do. So is there any cruisers we would consider for the Silver League before we go to Gold?
For me, I find cruisers relatively hard to play. There tends to be a lot of battleship threats, and if you're not at the top of your game, then cruisers can be very difficult to play properly.
Yep.
I was actually using Donskoy to rank out, and that was actually a lot of fun. She proved to be very versatile, being able to smash destroyers with her high velocity guns, having a DPM to kite out other ships. She does have issues with survivability at times, but for those who can work around it, she's an excellent pick.
Yeah, the Donskoy is definitely a good choice. Definitely indeed. So let's move on to the final Gold, what our recommendation for Gold would be. So for Gold, what would you recommend for CV players?
For CV players, that are not confident in their skills, Emo Man would be a solid choice. Emo Man and Midway. Midway is a versatile, able to strike every ship without issue, while Emo Man is more of a damage farming but forgiving kind of a CV.
Yep.
So, on the other hand, I think the most versatile ship would be the Hakaru. She has rockets for destroyers, or torpedo bombers are amazing, especially if you spec it out. And AP dive bombers gives her some fighting power against entrenched cruisers. So
Yep.
she is, one played properly, I would say is the best carrier of tier 10.
Yep. So for cruisers, I would recommend the Petro, Nevesky, Des Moines, Stalingrad. Hindenburg could be a good choice too if you're careful, but I kind of see Hindenburg more as a weakness to, um, like it has good damage and good damage, but it takes a little more skill to play that one. Because if you're not careful, the Hindenburg will easily get destroyed by the battleships when you're trying to snipe. Um, that's sort of my experience with that ship. Radar and sonar is going to be definitely key for cruisers, so ones that have that are definitely going to be more favored. Battleships to bring, I think, would be a Colombo. Colombo's SAP can destroy do a lot of damage to battleships, cruisers alike. Its weakness is kind of DD's, since it only does 1250 max to them with its SAP salvo, and with battleships, with its AP, it's 1100. So that battleship would definitely be good, and also has a smoke, so it's able to turn away. It also has a 360 turrets on the back, so it can be very aggressive pushing in, that if it needs to run away, it can pop its smoke. The Thunderer definitely would be a good saving star kind of ship. Conqueror would be nice too. Yamato's great for sniping into those nice broadsides. Kremlin's good for pushing. Montana's good for a broadside punisher. What else? Is there any battleships you think I'm leaving out?
Main, it's really, I think it's going to be a lot of Thunderers just because she's relatively easy to play and spam in the back, even if they don't make the most use out of her.
Yep.
Yamato, you might see some Borgones from players who know how to get the most out of her.
Yep.
But I think it would mainly be the Yamato, Thunderer, maybe some people playing the Conqueror.
Yep. Yeah, I think those are pretty good choices. Now, what about for DDs? That'll be our final topic. What good DDs could be used for gold?
So there is Smollett, and then there's inferior choices.
Yep.
The Smollett, assuming you have the mechanical skills needed, Smollett is able to just 1v1 almost every destroyer. And with some of the with the 10.4 changes, she's actually getting she's getting indirect buff because Fearless Brawler will no longer affect concealment.
Oh yeah.
So now instead of popping at 6.5, she'll pop at 6.1, which somewhat alleviates her slower shell issue.
Yep.
So run into her at 6.1,
you're dead.
get radared, and yeah, and just go back to port.
Yep. If you get spotted by this ship at 6.1, you're done. Like, this ship will melt you. But the thing is, if you don't have a small end, what could be other choices? The Marceau, I think, could be a pretty good choice as a gunboat. Kleber as well. I think the Daring would also be a good choice as well for kind of cap control, along with the Z52. Their sonars are pretty well diverse. Z52 has the bigger range of 6 kilometers, while the Daring has the longer duration 3-kilometer sonar.
Daring is a good all-around gunship that also fights caps pretty well. Z52 relies more on her smoke hydro gimmick, but can still fight for the caps, assuming that she doesn't get radared off, of course.
Yep. The Hollands would be good for their anti-air and their fast torpedoes. A lot of DDs have been caught by Holland torps for how fast they're going, because they're not expecting the torps to be from somewhere. So
definitely,
Holland can definitely be a good that, and it's also partially a gunboat, but it's not supposed to be a gunboat. It's maybe a torpedo boat, but it does have a heel, so it can kind of sustain itself while also having a little bit of gunning, so it can use its guns to get away, but it's not going to win out like a brawl with like a Daring or a Z52. It has to back off. The Shima would be good for the longer range torps, and it has great concealment, so it can be used more for spotting and trying to keep track of the other gunboat DDs.
My overall advice is, although we recommend the stronger ships in ranked, if you have a ship that you're very comfortable in and you know how to make it work, then by all means just take that ship.
Yeah.
What's the most important part is your skill skill, not the ship itself. So
Yep.
if you I'd rather have a good player in a quote unquote average ship rather than a average player in a good ship.
Yep. Exactly. But yeah, that is all the time that we have for the day. Thank you so much again, Titi, for taking the time to do this video, brother. I really appreciate you. We are,
Hmm.
if you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely write them down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. But yeah, thank you guys so much again. I'll see you guys next time and talk to you all later.